In 1857, a case called Dred Scott v. Sanford was decided by the court.
Dred Scott had been taken to places where slavery was illegal by his master.
Scott believed that because he had lived in a free state and free territory, that he was automatically free.
So Scott sued for his freedom along with his wife Harriet and their 2 daughters. In an opinion issued by Chief Justice Roger B. Taney, the court ruled that not only was the Scott family not free, but they were not even allowed to sue for their freedom because they were not citizens of the United States.
The Supreme Court rules that no black person can be a citizen. Citizenship is purely for white Americans.
And it is a devastating conclusion.
It meant the rights and privileges guaranteed by the Constitution did not apply to African Americans.
Citizenship is really not defined in the original Constitution.
It protects rights, the rights of citizens, but it doesn't tell us who's a citizen and who's not.
And so the court looked to settle the question by saying the founders had never intended for African Americans to be considered citizens.
They were property. They were not human beings in the sense of citizenship.
Taney said, how do we know the founders didn't want them to be citizens? One of the things was they were not permitted to serve in the military. And he said, because the military is an insignia of citizenship.
So 6 years later, in 1863, when Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation allowing black men to serve in the military, it was a pretty big deal. Not only could they fight for their freedom, they could also stake a claim to citizenship rights. Now, to be clear, free blacks like Frederick Douglass had long argued that all African Americans born in the United States deserved citizenship rights. But after Dred Scott, he realized that they needed a way to claim citizenship that could not be denied.
Frederick Douglass is really a clever strategist.
He understands that there's a bargain to be struck.
He believed that if black people entered the battlefield, if they fought for the nation, then how could the nation say you're not worthy of citizenship?
Once you have black men in the uniform of the U.S. Army, carrying muskets with the eagle on their shoulders, America will not be able to keep them out.
And so he not just encouraged, he begged black men to serve.
And they responded. By the end of the war, nearly 200,000 black men served in the Union forces.
The impact of black soldiers on the war is actually enormous.
These black men are serving in battles. There are over 400 battles that they're in, some of them absolutely crucial.
And they suffered under horrendous conditions. Half the time they weren't paid, they weren't fed well.
Despite discrimination, unequal pay, and poor treatment, black soldiers fought bravely. And they helped to turn the tide for the Union, just as Lincoln had hoped. Their success and their sacrifice also changed his mind, and he came to support black citizenship.
He recognized the debt that the country owed to black men who had gone to war for a nation that until that point had not done anything for them except to keep them enslaved.